Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode number 202, and I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Robertson, owner of Outdoor Legacy. And tonight, as usual, I have got, as always, I have got my co-host and my salesman at Outdoor Legacy, Mr. Hans from the Hans East Texas YouTube channel, world famous hog hunter, coyote slayer. Man, what else can I say? Roll up the curtain, roll the red carpet. Yeah,
keep going. We'll give you time.
I knew that you weren't ever saying anything, so you're just going to let me keep throwing the adjectives
let's see what you
out.
can come up with next. I appreciate it. You know, this we've got another scope review, thermal scope review by iRAY USA is the company that distributes this scope, but we today are reviewing. I'm gonna hold it up if you're listening on our podcast on iTunes or audio only version. You can check it out on YouTube. This is the Infiray Outdoor Rico RH35, the MK1 Rico RH35, and it's distributed here in the United States by iRAY USA. Jason, I'm going to go ahead and say this is the best unknown scope on the market right now, because we were talking about it before the show. How just a lot of people do not even know that this scope exists, and it's really it's going to be perfect for a lot of people out there on the market. When I say perfect, because of the magnification, the resolution, the features that it provides, and at the price point. So we are, again, this is the Infiray Outdoor MK1 Rico RH35. Now you probably already know, and we did the review a long time ago of the RH50. That's the MK1 Rico RH50. That's the 3-power 640 resolution 12 micron scope. That was the very first one they put out, right, Jason?
Very first scope, over a year ago.
I want to make sure I was getting that right. The very first scope that they put out. Fantastic scope. We reviewed it a long time ago. This is the little brother, the RH35. The little brother. But iRAY has put out some great scopes, and they're continuing to put out great scopes. The iRAY Infiray Outdoor Bolt TL35. You got the iRAY USA Bravo, which is, both of those are wildly popular. You've got the Rico MK1 384. That's the 4-power 384 resolution. Now you got this scope, and I'll tell you why, but this has kind of been like the missing piece of the puzzle for a little bit, because this opens iRAY USA up to a whole different type of hunter, I will say, because all the other scopes were at higher magnification levels. We've also talked about, and it was, we can't keep it a secret because the news has been broke, but the iRAY micros have been announced. So, that's another interesting and really cool thermal optic that's about to hit the market, or actually is the market
any day.
Any day. Yeah.
Well, we're waiting to see them in inventory.
Right.
So any day. Literally.
Any days. But the RH35, the Infiray Outdoor Rico MK1 RH35, that's the scope that we're going to be reviewing today. So Jason's going to run down the specs. We're going to tell you why this is the best thermal scope that you probably don't know about right now on the market. So Jason.
Yeah. So it's true. When Hans says that, and he says you don't know about it, I mean, obviously there's guys that are like, wait a minute, I own one, I know about it. But we get a lot of calls, and there's a lot of calls about the Rico 384 that he just mentioned, and then a lot of guys immediately jump to and go, well, what about the Rico RH50, the 3-power 640? And we'll go, hey, what about this scope? What are you talking about? So I just feel like it came out. It's been out a little while, been out a couple months. It just, for whatever reason, came out in a busy time. It didn't get a lot of fanfare, but we're here to give it some right now, because it is a fantastic scope. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this out real quick. If you're familiar with the Rico MK1 640 RH50, all right, so if you're familiar with that scope, then all you got to know is this is the exact same scope that just has 2-power base magnification. Okay, it's $1,000 less at $49.99. You can turn off the show. No need to watch it anymore.
That was it. Yeah. You've answered everybody's questions right there in the first.
That's it. I've answered everybody's questions. So, but no. So if you are very familiar with it, that's what this scope is. So, just wanted to be clear. I'm going to go ahead and go through the specs. I am already patting myself on the back because I gave the price. That is something that I'm known to forget. And
the bar is very low around here, so go ahead.
It is
Continue.
very low bar. I keep thinking if I screw these up bad enough, Hans will start doing the specs, but he hasn't offered. So, all right. So $49.99, $5,000 is where this scope comes in. It is a 640 by 512. Now that's something a little funny. Normally anything 640 is a 640 by 480, and that's just kind of the general assumption. But what we're finding is some of these sensors are 640 by 512. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this because I get these questions a lot. No, it doesn't make any difference. Those few extra pixels, on your vertical side don't really change anything. You're never going to be able to tell the difference in a 640 by 480 versus a 640 by 512.
Yeah, it's just when you take the videos off the scope, you may notice it's a little bit more square than some of the other videos you may have seen. So that's the only difference you're going to see.
Yeah, image quality, you're not going to know any difference. So just it's basically a 640 by 480, but whatever. All right, it's a 12 micron thermal sensor. It is a 50 hertz refresh rate. It's running their normal Matrix 3 image processing that Infiray runs on their cores. It's also their core is the iRAY Micro 2 640. I know that probably doesn't mean anything to you. All it's proving is that it is the same core that is in the other RH50. It is a 2-power base magnification. It has digital zoom going up to 16 power. It's got a 66-foot wide horizontal field of view at 100 yards. So 66 foot left to right horizontally is what you're going to see out there at 100 yards. The specs say the detection range is 1,975 yards. It's a very long ways. I can't confirm or deny. I can't see 2,000 yards anywhere, so that's a long ways. It has an AMOLED display, 1024 by 768 resolution on that display. Now remember, we're just talking about the screen you're looking at. That's not the resolution of the thermal sensor, just the display screen that you're looking at. It's got all the normal color palettes: white hot, black hot, red hot, color mode like a rainbow, and then highlight. A lot of people really like that. It's got 7 different reticles, 2 dynamic, 5 are static. It has got a black, white, red, green reticle color option, so you can change it to any of those 4 colors you want. It does come with a standard Picatinny rail mount. It's a long mount, works well for bolt actions. We'll be talking more about that in a little bit. It does include picture-in-picture. It records video and audio as well as still images. It's got a smartphone app called the Infiray Outdoor app. We'll talk about that again, some more fantastic app there. You can run this off of a USB-C cable, so if for some reason you wanted external power, you can do that. But the unit does run off of a removable, rechargeable, proprietary Infiray battery pack. These battery packs will get you 6+ hours under normal conditions. And you can buy spare batteries because they are removable and rechargeable. They're about $170 a piece, and people really, really like the batteries on these. It does have a standby mode. A lot of people ask that. And standby, basically, if you don't know, it allows you to turn off your display screen. And that way, number one, you're saving a little bit of power. Number two, is if you're maybe walking around or you're standing there on a tripod calling coyotes or hogs, and you don't want that display, shining a light back at you, you can just hit a couple buttons, put it into a standby mode, and then when you press those buttons again, it instantly comes back up. There's no delay in it coming up. It has a normal 10-second start time, or less than 10 seconds, they say, when you're booting it up fresh. It weighs about 29.63 ounces, so about 29.5 ounces is the weight. It is an IPS 6.7 rating, so that means it's fully waterproof, submersible to 3 foot of water for 30 minutes, and it is completely dust and dirt proof. It also is rated for -4 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is recoil rated for a 300 Win and a or 7mm mag. So 300 Win, 7mm mag. That's the max recoil. So anything, including those and under. And I'll tell you this: I have guys sometimes call me and they go, "Man, I've got this weird caliber. I don't know where this thing falls in." You need to find a recoil chart. There is a great website called Chuck Hawks. If you Google that, if you just Google recoil chart, you'll find this, but it's Chuck Hawks. And you want to look over there at the recoil energy. And you can go to like one of these, say a 300 Win or 7. That's your standard. Okay, as long as the number is below that, then you can find your caliber. Anyway, if you can't find it, we're glad to help before you buy the scope. If you're like, well, I want to be sure, let us know and we can help you for sure on that. So again, it has got the iRAY 5-year warranty, which is a big deal. And that's something that everybody likes, is a long warranty. It does include that. And there is also, and we'll really bring this up, Hans has probably got it there, but there is also an optional American Defense Manufacturing, very small, lightweight, quick detach mount. And that is something that, iRAY USA had made for that unit. It is available for $199, and that is something that we sell and is an accessory for that.
Thank you to Chuck Hawks, our newest sponsor of the Late Night Vision Show. And you can expect so many more awesome promos like that moving forward in the future. Take it from us, the host at the Late Night Vision Show. So Chuck Hawks.
You're terrible.
Thank you again. If you need a mailing address for the check, just go ahead and hit us up on the socials.
You're killing me. I'm trying to help our listeners, and Hans is only upset because we don't have a sponsorship.
Yeah, still waiting for that sponsorship. Anyway, thank you, folks. That was a long list of specs, Jason. A good job doing that. Now we're going to do a walk around, quick walk around. This has, you can see right here, the rubber eye cup. There's a lot of cool kids on the internet that have taken that eye cup off. I tugged on it a little bit. It was a little tough. I wanted to be one of the cool kids and take it off for pictures. But it did not easily come off.
All right, hold on.
So I didn't want to mess with it.
All right, I got to get in here right now. It comes off very easily. All you do is you pull that thing down at a 45 angle, putting your thumb into that rubber, and it will peel right off, and you can put it back on in under 5 seconds.
Okay.
If you can't, ask your kid. They'll put it back on. It is super easy to come off and on. I had a guy call the other day, and he said, "Man, I saw everybody's taking theirs off. I want to take mine off, but I'm scared I'm going to rip it up." And what I was like, no. And he was like, "Oh, well, that was easy." I was like, "I guess I can never get it back on there." And I told him, you put it on there. I promise you, it is not hard.
This is not my scope, so I didn't want to tug on it too.
Scope.
I didn't want to tug
it's
on
my
exactly.
Scope.
I didn't want to rip this eye
Thank you
cup
for
off.
not tearing my scope up.
I knew that you could take it off. I just wasn't willing to potentially pay the price of jacking it up. But anyway, we've got here the rubber eye cup. As you see, you've got 2 focus adjustments, the eyepiece diopter focus. You've got the knob or dial on top for the objective lens focus. 35 millimeter objective lens with a plastic lens cover. You've got, I want to show this right here. It looks like a little Picatinny rail on the side. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but this will accept the ILR. That's the laser rangefinder. That is, I got this thing covering my face and I'm talking. You can't even see my face. Very professional.
Better.
Very professional. You've got
they're thankful.
Yeah,
right now.
Exactly. Picatinny rail. This will accept that ILR where you can plug in the laser rangefinder. That's an add-on, $800 add-on. Right now, the only scopes that we know of that's on the market that you can add a plug-and-play laser rangefinder to the scope after the purchase. So you don't have to purchase it at the same time. You can purchase it later, but it mounts right there on that Picatinny rail on the side. Got a 4-button layout on top. Very easy to maneuver. As you can see, maybe on this video, the menu button is slightly raised. That way you can tell which one you're at in the middle of the night when it's dark. As Jason mentioned on here, the American Defense Manufacturing mount that's specially made for this scope. We're going to talk about mounts also later on in the review, because there's something to say briefly about the factory mount that comes with it. But last thing, battery compartment on the side. It's got a little lever that swivels up, pull it out, swap the next one in. Very easy and convenient right there on the side. But that's a quick walk around of the scope. I mean, I'd say pretty basic design. The buttons that's what all really, Jason, anybody cares about is the buttons. How easy are the buttons to use? They're pretty spaced out. You know which one you're on. I'd say as far as easy use in the dark, just as easy as any other scope, I would say. Not complicated at all. But, what everybody wants to know is how far can you see with this scope? And that's the big thing, because, the RH35, Jason, as we know, and what we talked about, that's primarily a lot of times what the coyote hunters want, that 3-power scope. This is a little bit different. This is a 2 to 16 power. So, I mean, what'd you see as far as ID ranges?
Every time we give these ranges, the majority of people think that we're just extremely low.
We are.
But we try to be very realistic and very conservative. I think I'm going to give my standard 640 resolution, lower magnification range, and say 400 or 500 yards. I mean, you may look through it and say it's 6 or 7, and next guy may look through it and say it's 375. I don't know. It's 400 or 500. It's a long ways. I mean, there's no reason at 500 yards you shouldn't be able to see and tell a deer from a hog. There's no question. You're going to be able to do it further than that. I think sometimes where it gets a little tricky is in those extremely long ranges. When is that a deer laying down in the tall grass, or is that a coyote standing there?
Yeah,
that's where it gets tough.
That's what I was going to say. We talked about the differences between a detection range, where the detection range is measured by the manufacturer as a 6-foot tall target at a certain distance, and how different the ID range is. A lot of times when I'm thinking about ID range, since I do coyote hunt a lot, I think about the distance at which I can tell that it's definitely a coyote and not a small deer or a deer laying down or something like that. Because a lot of these guys, a lot of hog hunters now are coyote hunters as well, and so keeping it in that frame of mind, I would say yes, 400 yards is going to be, I would say the low end of the ID ranges, and that's for coyotes. The difference between a coyote and a small deer or something laying down. It can go out further than that if you're trying to ID the difference between a pig and a cow or something like that, or a pig and a deer. I will say sometimes deer, when they got their head down, they can look a lot like a hog. I mean, when they
in grass.
Yeah, in grass, when they get that rounded back sometimes when they're standing. But yeah, I mean, 400 is conservatively low, but it's in some cases you'll be able to do it further than that.
It is, and I mean, I'm to the point I almost hate doing the ID ranges, because we are going to try to be conservative and realistic. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I talk to guys on the phone, scopes that we give a 200 to 250 yard ID range, and I feel like that's very realistic, and I think that 275 might be really actually pushing it. And I'll talk to guys that tell me, man, my buddy's got a laser rangefinder, and we ranged one, and I shot him at 380 with that. And I'm going, 380? I mean, how could you see anything but a blob? So I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion of what it is, but I think those are conservative numbers. Yep. It does have a very good image quality, very crisp, very sharp. Like it a lot. I tell you what I want to do, though. I want to go over, this is something we try to do, is kind of give a basic of what we like and what we would like to change or dislike. And I want to do this before we get into, kind of really talking about the scope this time, because I think this will set the stage for, really what maybe we would like to change and what we really like. And I think there's just a few small things here that we would work on. I mean, Hans, you got a list of anything?
I do. I've got 3 specific dislikes about it, and I'll just go ahead and jump into it. If you are trying to buy a scope because you need amazing audio, you're going to have a problem with this scope. The scope, the audio on this scope, is there. It does have audio. It's not fantastic. You're not gonna. There's a lot of guys that call up and say, I like to, I like to not just hear the shots, but I like to hear background conversations. If me and my buddies are cutting up, I'd like to hear all that. That's going to be difficult with the scope. In the audio, you can hear gunshots. They sound more like just firecracker pops, but the audio is not fantastic. What I will say, there's a lot of people who are like, why? And why is it not great? It's got a microphone in it. I don't know for sure. The only thing I can guess is that the microphone is covered up. Maybe it's siliconed in so good because it's trying to keep weather and elements out that it's just muffled by whatever's in front of it. But it does have audio. It's not great. Now, most people aren't buying scopes out there because they need fantastic audio. But there's a lot of guys out there that are asking, and that's come up before in the past. There are some workarounds. A couple of good ideas that I've seen people do. First of all is the app. It comes with a very good Infiray outdoor, or you can download the app on your phone. You can record videos through your phone with the audio through the app. So you just basically push the record button. The microphone on your phone will pick up the sound. So that works pretty good. The other really cool idea that somebody turned me on to. You can buy one of those little audio recorders that fit in your pocket, Jason. They're real small. You just push a button and it records. I mean, I think you can get like a top of the line one for $30, and they go down in price from there. But basically, you just push a button and it starts recording. Very good audio quality. The guy that I talked to about it keeps it in his front pocket, and that way, because he's doing and creating content for YouTube, and all he has to do is sync that audio and video together. There's a lot of people out there that may not want to do that, but that is an option to get around the audio.
Yeah, hold on. I was going to say one quick thing to our lower tech listener that just heard that. Forget that. Forget that idea. You need to know how to video edit.
Yeah.
If you know how to edit video, and that's what you're doing, and you know how to overlay audio and video tracks, no problem. You can do it in 30 seconds. If you have no idea what we're talking about, ignore that suggestion. And Hans is right. The Infiray Outdoor app, that's an easy option. It's a little bit of a pain because you got to have it, connected to your phone, and the Wi-Fi is going. It's going to draw down your battery life a little bit, but it is a way to record. You just reach down into your pocket, pull your phone out, hit record, pick it back in your pocket, and now it's using your phone's microphone while it records. So anyway, that is an easy workaround. And I'm going to say something else too. We're recording this in the I don't know what this is. This is late winter, early spring of 2022. There could be an update to this sometime. It could be next week. It could be next year, next month. I don't know. I've heard that there's the possibility of some software fixes that could improve this microphone. I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe it's truly a hardware problem like Hans was mentioning. So I don't know. I don't want to make any promises that anything is going to change, but I also don't want to state this like it's in stone and it cannot ever be fixed. I truly don't know. We're just telling you how it is today. It's got some audio. You're going to hear a pop from the shot, and that's going to be about it.
Right.
Anything else you hear on other videos is most likely been recorded through the app or, like Hans said, recorded the audio separately and then synced later.
So buy this scope because it's got great picture image, or buy it because it meets what you are trying to do. Don't buy it because it's got great audio.
There's a huge amount of scopes on the market that don't have any audio at all. So it's not like it's that strange.
Yeah, there's more scopes with either no audio or not great audio before then have good audio. Anyway, so going to the mounts. So the mount, this is important detail. The mount that comes with the scope is a decent mount. I don't want you to think that the mount's trash, but the mount that comes with this scope, Jason and I really feel like it is more suited for somebody that's using a bolt action rifle. That mount that comes with the scope, the factory mount, will allow that scope to sit back really far on that rail and give somebody that has a longer length of pull, like a bolt action rifle, a better you'll get better eye relief with that factory mount. But if you were running this primarily on an AR style rifle, you're definitely going to want to get the American Defense Manufacturing locking, the one-piece locking quick release mount. You're definitely going to want to pick that up because it's going to give you, it's going to be able to mount on your rifle better. What we've found is with the factory mount, trying to mount it on an AR style rifle, sometimes it's so far forward on the AR upper that it almost acts like it needs to mount on the handguard in front of it. So again, if you're shooting a bolt action rifle, factory mount's perfect. If you're shooting an AR style rifle primarily, you're going to want the ADM mount. But in general though, with that quick release mount, it's obviously American Defense. It's rock solid. And it's going to be perfect for you. So the mount wouldn't say it's a dislike, but we definitely need some clarification.
Yeah, and I want to just add one step further layer of clarification because we get this question a lot. So guys hear that and they go, well, wait a minute, I want a quick detach mount and I want the American Defense mount, but I have a bolt action, so I'm still going to buy it. Do not do that. And here's the reason why. Because we don't want your mount back after you opened it up and tried to use it. We're going to have to charge you a restocking fee, and it has happened 99.9% of the time. If you have a fixed stock rifle, that American Defense mount is going to push that scope so far forward that you will probably be very uncomfortable, probably won't get a proper cheek weld. It just doesn't work, but it doesn't work for bolt action because it pushes you so far forward. Again, maybe you're some great big guy, maybe you've cut your stock off, whatever. It might work in those cases, but I'm going to tell you this, 99% of bolt action users, it does not work. And I've talked to a lot of guys who want it to work, and they just, I got to buy it, I got to try it, and then it doesn't work, and then they're trying to send us back a mount that's been used. And so just warning you, and unless you think that your rifle is some special case on a bolt action or any kind of a fixed stock rifle, then it's probably not going to work. You're going to want to use this standard mount. There is a reason that it works better for bolt actions, like Hans said. It really pushes that scope further back.
The last dislike is black. The color palette black hot in a lot of cases doesn't look fantastic. Now, and I don't know the rhyme or reason. Sometimes you'll turn it over to black hot and it'll look decent. I found that to be the case on really, really cloudy nights, high humidity. If you put it in black hot, it looks okay. But if the weather's nice outside, clear skies, low humidity, if you put it on black hot, it almost it seems really over contrasted, and so much so you can't turn the contrast down to fix it. Whereas, the trees blend in with the sky. It's not great. So the black hot, not great in a lot of cases. But like I said, the other color palettes look really, really good. I mean, white hot and highlight.
I had to laugh because about 15 minutes before we recorded this show, I opened up Facebook and there was a guy who had posted his video from this scope in black hot and of some coyotes, and there was rave reviews of everybody saying how great the image quality was, and it did look good. And I was thinking, that's one of the things that I've kind of thought wasn't the best, but his look really good. So there are times that it does.
There are times,
and we're being pretty harsh too.
So
and we're looking for things to pick apart.
It's weird, yeah. Sometimes the black hot looks okay. I was the same way. I posted a video a couple days ago on Instagram of a coyote shot, and the picture looked great. Now, again, though, it is on the nights where you think black hot should look amazing, clear skies, low humidity, perfect conditions, it doesn't look great. But, on the bad nights where it's cloudy and higher humidity, it looks decent. So, just know that when you get it, that there's going to be certain conditions where black hot's not going to look good. But like I said, the other color palettes, they really look good in pretty much all weather conditions, unless it's raining. So other than that, but those are the dislikes, just a few of them, not too much there.
And so I would say that this is exactly the same way that the RH50 is.
Correct.
So was one of our complaints about that scope. Exact same thing there. I would also say that, excuse me, the white hot looks really, really good.
It does.
A lot of guys like the highlight mode. It's not my favorite color palette, but it is the favorite of a lot of people. Play with them. Here's the deal. First of all, the black hot doesn't bother me because I never use black hot. Hans really likes black hot. And it's funny because, guys will call and say, how do I set this up? What do you like? Which color palette? They're new to thermal. And I tell everybody, you've got to figure out what you like. And that's not a cop out. What I like really, Hans and I are extremely similar in a lot of ways, and a lot of our likes and dislikes and opinions on things, we think the same. But when it comes to this, as an example, we don't like each other's scopes. He hands me his scope and oh my gosh, you got this cranked up too, or whatever. So all those things are how you like them. And so when you get your scope, you may find, hey, I like black hot, and I can play with the contrast and play with the brightness, whatever. I can make it the way I want. But you may be, you may like one of these other modes. So play with it and figure out what you like. There's a lot of really good things about the scope. One of the things we do here, if you listen very often, we try to truly, pick apart the things we don't like. We're just honest with you about it, because that's what we hope you're watching this show for, is not just another bought and paid for review where everybody sings the praises and they just ignore anything that could possibly not be the best with the scope. We want to try to tell you the truth. Now, I'm going to get in and I'm going to tell you about some of the fabulous things about this scope.
The reason why we got to tell people the truth on reviews, honestly, is because we don't want to sell you the scope and then you turn around and try to send it back to us because you don't like it.
No, we don't want that. We don't want you being unhappy with your scope. You're spending $5,000.
We want you to be happy with the scope. We want you to know exactly what you get. So the worst thing to happen is to get unpleasant surprises when you get the scope.
Exactly.
When you buy it and you know everything about it and you can take that into account when you open it up, then there's no bad. That's the worst thing. I hate bad surprises.
Bad surprises are not good.
Not good. So anyway, there's a lot to like. So go tell them the likes.
There is. So let's talk about the battery, man. I like anytime we can get long battery life in a removable battery. I'm happy. Yeah. That's the two things that we really, really like. And so, some people say, well, I don't want a proprietary battery pack. Okay, there's plenty of scopes that use CR123A batteries. There's plenty out there. You can go find those scopes, but a lot of guys don't want to be out there on one of the, especially our buddies up north that are hunting in 0 degrees or, whatever it is, these super cold temperatures. They don't want to carry a wagon full of CR123A batteries with them because it's
somebody
0
carrying one of those little red wagons behind them.
Exactly. Changing batteries out, or the option to that is running an external battery pack, and a lot of guys don't want to have to do that. So we're talking about very good battery life. Guys all over the Northwest and Midwest running these things. I've had no complaints from those guys about the battery, the life. They've been very, very happy with it. Obviously, down here in the South, well, we're extremely happy with it. Haven't had any issues. Love the long battery life. Again, the fact that we can pull that thing out, have a spare in your bag, throw it in there, and you're good to go. 2 of those batteries will get you all night long. That's a lot of hunting with 2 of those batteries. Hans has already mentioned image quality. It is a really, really good 640 image quality. It is, better than some other 640s on the market. I don't want his talk about the black hot to make you think like, oh, maybe this thing's just not that good. This scope is actually better than several 640 scopes, other 640 scopes on the market. So it's really, really good. Like that, those, the shooting range, we talked about what the ID range and all that, but the shooting range is still going to be really good on this scope. We'll get into here kind of when I get through with these. I want to kind of roll into a little more of who we think this is good for, because Hans made the comment that it fits kind of a section of the market that iRAY hasn't had a scope for, specifically before. So we'll kind of get into that. Other things we like, ease of use. Hans mentioned those buttons. They're ergonomic. You can use it if you're left-handed, right-handed, doesn't matter. They're right there on the top. I always reach up there, and if you can't feel that one is a little bit taller, I count them. I mean, I move my fingers back, and it's like, okay, whoop, that's the back one. Now I know where I'm at. That's one thing when guys are new to this and they're in the dark, they have a hard time. They go, I can't feel it. I got gloves. And what you got to do is you've got to figure out, just like a keyboard on a computer, where you're at. And a lot of times that's either going all the way to the front or going all the way to the back with your finger and going, okay, there's no button. There's the first button. Now I know exactly where I am. So I think it's very easy. Obviously, we've already kind of hit on some of this stuff. The app, we really like that. It's a good app. Works well, stays connected. You can pull those videos and photos if you took some right off onto your smartphone. So that's easy to do. And by the way, that's something else. I think I'm showing my age. Last night I was typing an email to a customer and I said there was a smartphone app. And I went on like 2 sentences later and I was like, who doesn't have a smartphone now? And it's obvious, like you wouldn't download an app on your flip phone. So anyway, I guess I'm just old, still saying smartphone. So there is a phone app, both Android and iPhone. Then I think this is something that we kind of glossed over, but it's a really cool option is that all of the iRAY or Infiray Ricos, they do have that Picatinny rail on the side that Hans mentioned there. And you can buy their add-on, modular ILR, which is a laser rangefinder. That unit is $799. It can be purchased separately, and it's again Picatinny rail. You just flip it right on there. It's got a little small USB plug that plugs into the side of the scope. It doesn't need a battery. It runs off the scope battery. It immediately integrates. You do have to basically zero that laser rangefinder to where the little box shows on the screen. It's a little simple process. But the point is, you get that thing zeroed. Now you have a laser rangefinder scope, and you can take the laser rangefinder off if you don't want it. And this is something that, excuse me, you don't have to make this choice the day you buy it. Because with other scopes, we always say, do you need a laser rangefinder or not? And there's some guys that are like, I don't think so, but it might be nice. Well, this, I don't know. Maybe I need one. Maybe I don't. Okay, buy the scope. You need it later? Hey, it's there. $800, throw it on the side. So really like that option. And then I think that the big deal we always go back to is the 5-year warranty. I mean, that's a big deal to a lot of people. And iRAY strives to repair, replace your scope within a full business week. So it's really, the warranty's a big deal, and I know it is. I mean, when you're spending this kind of money, you want to know you got a good warranty and as many years as possible. It's a transferable warranty, so if you sell the scope, after 3 years to upgrade to the newest model, the guy buying it still got 2 years of warranty. Lets him buy with confidence. Right. So like that a lot as well. Now, I mean, Hans, let's get into this. Let's kind of change gears. And you made the comment, and you were right, that this scope opens them up to some, different hunters. Maybe, what do you mean by that? Who is this 2-power really geared towards, in your opinion?
In the past, we've talked about, and we try to categorize hunters into hog hunters or coyote hunters, but now there's so much crossover. I think we really got to focus on not necessarily what type of animal you're hunting, but the yardages at which you're hunting at. So if the vast majority of your shots, you say, are going to be under 150 yards, and that includes hogs or coyotes, because there's a lot of coyote hunters that are in tight spots that call up and say, I'll never shoot over 150 yards. But if the vast majority of your shots are going to be under that 150 yard mark, I would absolutely say that the RH35 is going to be a great option and probably the correct option for you. It's going to have a very, very wide field of view. That's going to be great for scanning side to side. It's going to be great for, if you have to take some follow-up shots on the run. If you've got hogs or coyotes that, that are running up to you and running into close ranges, it's going to be really, really good. But it's also 2-power is enough to be able to take a good solid shot at that 100 to 150 yard range. Now, can you shoot further than 150 yards with this scope? Yes, but I would not buy this scope if most of your shots are going to be over that 150 yard mark. I would purchase a scope with higher base magnification. So if you feel like you fall in that category, that the vast majority of your shots are 150 yards, I think this scope is a great option for you and worth exploring a little bit more.
So what I tell people is this: a really good 642 power scope is a 2-in-1. It is the Swiss Army knife of scopes, in my opinion. And the reason is I mean, this, and again, this is my personal favorite: 2 power 640. That's where I want to be. I am primarily a very close range hog hunter. I mean, I do the majority of my shooting is going to be under 40 yards. All right, really silly close. And so I like the wide field of view, the low magnification. So that's perfect for that. Beautiful image quality. But at the same time, I might get out there and I might be coyote hunting with Hans, or we might be out there, on some big field with the wind blowing wrong, and we can't get in close to those hogs. And so I might need to shoot 150. You know what? I might need to shoot 200. This scope, again, while I don't shoot, those longer ranges, 150 to 200 yards much, this scope can shoot way over that. I don't want you to think 200 is the max. I mean, if you're a capable shooter, shooting 350, 400 yards with this scope is possible. I'm not advising it. I don't do it. But the scope is capable of it with a qualified shooter behind it that knows what his target is. But the point is you're getting a 2-in-1. You're getting a 4-power 320 scope. If you zoom it up, okay, you go from 2 to 4, you cut your resolution in half, but you still have a very good image. So you've got the 4-power 320 and you've got the 2-power 640. So I see it as truly the 2-in-1. However, Hans's point is extremely valid in that if you buy this scope because, hey man, it's 640 and it's going to be beautiful image quality and that's what I want, but I'm always going to be shooting out there at 100, 125, 150, 200 yards, well, you're always going to zoom it up. So you're going to be using a 4-power 320. What you should have bought was the Rico 384 RL42 for $4,000. That is a 4-power 384 resolution scope. You would have, you'd have saved yourself $1,000 if all your shots are going to be out there in those longer ranges. Or maybe you go up to the RH35 640. That's a 3-power. Yeah. So I'm not trying to confuse you there, but the scope to me is great for that guy that Hans described that's shooting under that 150 almost all the time. But if the scope is still capable, if you need to reach out there and touch something, it will do it. It's just not for the guy who's always shooting in those longer ranges, because there's other scopes built for that. I mean, Infiray has those scopes. Right. So that's where you would want to go if you're doing that. So, man, I 100% agree with you. It opens them up. For guys like me who do a lot of this close range hunting, I personally don't need 3-power for hog hunting. A lot of guys like it. A lot of guys use it, and I also understand that a lot of guys are not trying to get up there silly close like I am. It's just something I like to do. I'm not advising it. It's just something that I do. If you're hunting over a feeder, if you're hunting big fields and you're just trying to get within shooting distance, maybe 100 yards and start shooting them, that's a little bit different. But also, if you're going to be in any kind of, brush or woods or smaller fields, this is the kind of scope you're going to want to use. I talk to a lot of guys that are up around Pennsylvania, or even some guys that are like in Wisconsin that are fox and coyote hunters, but they're telling me that they're hunting in these smaller woodlots or these smaller little openings in fields. And I talked to a guy last week, and again, he was in Pennsylvania, does a lot of fox and coyote hunting. And he said, but I can't see past 100, 150 yards. And he was looking at some 3-power scopes. And I was like, man, I really think you need to be looking at 2-power scopes. And I was like, they'll, easily shoot the 150 yards you can see, but you're going to get the field of view with the lower magnification, and you're going to be much better off and like that a lot more on those small fields.
Right. All right. Well, if you are interested in purchasing the Infiray Outdoor Rico MK1 RH35, you can do so. You can give us a call, 877-350-1818. You can talk to me or Jason. If you're trying to decide if you're in the market to buy a scope and you need help deciding if this scope is the right for you or some other iRAY product is perfect for you, give us a call again, 877-350-1818. You can find all of our products, all night vision thermal optics, right there on the website, outdoorlegacygear.com. You can find Jason on all the socials at Outdoor Legacy on Facebook, Instagram, and over on YouTube. And you can find me on my YouTube channel, Hans ETX. That's Hans ETX. We do a lot of reviews over there, hunting videos, a lot of short form reviews on that channel. And also you can find me on Instagram, Hans ETX. You can find all of our past episodes on the latenightvision.show.com. So if you're looking for one spot to go to find all of our shows, and you're not on YouTube, you can check it out on the website, latenightvision.show.com.
All right, folks. We hope you've enjoyed this review. As Hans said, if you've got questions about this scope you're looking to purchase, but you just need a couple quick questions answered, or maybe more than a couple quick, but you got some questions, you want to make sure it's right for you, or maybe there's some other thermal optic or night vision scope you're interested in, but you want some help before you make the purchase, we would be glad to help you, and we would appreciate your business. So give us a call. As Hans said, you can always, again, find us at the website, outdoorlegacygear.com. But we hope to be back here next week. That is the plan for episode number 203. We hope to see y'all then. Would be honored if you were back here. So if you can, if you're on YouTube, reach up there and hit the subscribe button. Same thing if you're on one of the podcast apps, and that way you'll be notified and hopefully not miss another episode. We appreciate y'all. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.